Hi, Eric. Here we are again. In the last video we were finishing the last video by encouraging everybody to talk more to each other. I would love to talk about the vision or the benefits we could all have when Vow comes into the world. I think we have not just the money system that's changing dramatically when Vow starts. I think we have a lot of chances still hidden how we could come together and change this world.
Absolutely. I mean, the opportunity for change is ever present, right? The thing is that in order to change, you need to do it consciously, and that means that you have to grow the consciousness, the awareness in people. We change, I mean, without being aware of it, and without any choice in the matter. You know, everything is changing all the time. Even you're just getting older, right? That's a change. You get maybe a little bit wiser, a little bit more cautious. That's a change. But the real trick is to drive the change consciously, because then we can drive the change through a set of ideals or a set of morality that that will create a better world. Right, and we could be wrong about our ideologies, of course, but across time we learn. We learn what ideologies don't work. I mean, we know communism doesn't work. We know socialism is just a form of communism. We know capitalism doesn't work. Doesn't work well in its current state. Right. The reality is we've never had real capitalism in the world, but at least it gives us, we can intellectually separate what has been sort of tried and failed, and what has been tried and not been terribly successful but could be modified, what hasn't been tried, and then we can shift, but do it consciously.
What is Vow offering in this way of thinking or in this change of the world?
Vow brings an entirely new paradigm for economics. We live in a world where. So I talked recently about the emperor's new clothes. I'm sure you probably, and a lot in the audience will know this story. This emperor hears about this magnificent tailor and sends for him. And the magnificent tailor comes around and says, "Oh, I will make you this incredible outfit or robe or whatever," right? And he labors and labors for months and months in secrecy. And one day the emperor is finally ready for a fitting. And there's all the people around looking at what he's going to wear. And the tailor puts this thing on the emperor, that isn't actually there. And no one will say, "Oh my God, like the emperor is naked." And certainly the emperor isn't going to admit that he just got swindled, right? So they all go along with this pretense. And he shows up to the big crowds outside perfectly naked, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, the emperor's naked," but no one will say that, right? And what really happens is that across time, this kind of lie, because that's what it is, it's a lie, right? It's a pretense. This kind of lie becomes institutionalized to the point where no one questions it. They see the emperor, he's naked, but yeah, that's the emperor. He's always naked, they no longer even think about it. We have the same lie in money. We used to have real money. We had gold. Gold is real money. And then after Nixon's delinking in 1971 from gold, we had paper that was supposed to be like gold, right? But it wasn't. That was a lie, right? Dollars are not real money. But everybody went along with the pretense. And now nobody even thinks about it. They think dollars are real money. So Vow is the little child that stands in the crowd and points to the emperor and says, "Mommy, that man doesn't have any clothes on." Vow is the is the instrument of that message. And the way that Vow does it is by itself issuing the same lie, because Vow is using the very same mechanisms that central banks use to issue money, except it's decentralizing it. Instead of some set of authorities, every merchant can issue money. But what is the backing of that money? The answer is nothing. There's no backing to it, not any more than dollars do, right? So in the minds of the public, one $V and $1 are really equivalent, because in fact they're cut out of the same cloth. It's exactly the same thing. It just has different representation, and we're already accustomed to different representations. Some people carry around little pieces of paper. Other people look in a website and they see a number on a bank account, right? Now we see a number in a wallet, which is just an app, right? So we say $1 is equal to one $V, and now we've got sort of real money. But here's the difference. Vow itself is real money. $V are not. So we're like a Trojan horse. We use the $V and the equivalence of $V to real dollars to drive value into Vow, which is real money. So whereas the Reserve, the Federal Reserve and the central banks in general have painted themselves into a corner, they have nowhere to go but the expansion of their monetary supplies, right? I mean, and I'm speaking right now in a time of quantitative tightening, which means that interest rates are going up and monetary supply is getting destroyed. We'll see really how far that can go. And I understand we can talk about the geopolitical context for that move. But the reality is that over the longer term, the United States and the debt of all of these various governments is unpayable, right? They have now sunk themselves so deeply that the only way to solve the problem is to hyperinflate. And at the end of the hyperinflation is the destruction of fiat currencies. So fiat currencies are going to destroy themselves. And we don't care, because as dollars become cheaper and cheaper, our $V become cheaper and cheaper, and prices just go up. But we have Vow underneath. Every $V that gets manufactured represents demand on Vow. The Federal Reserve doesn't have that. They don't actually have a reserve currency, because the dollar is the reserve currency, and they bastardized it by printing tons and tons of it. So whereas the Federal Reserve has had to go down in the reserve requirements, right? It used to be like 10%, and it was 8 and 5, and now it's like nothing is 0. Vow will actually go the opposite direction. We will, as the system grows, we will increase the reserve requirements from 20% to 40, 60, 80, and eventually 100%. And when we start requiring a deposit of Vow 100% for every $V issued, there is no longer any point in having a $V. We can at that point retire $V, but by that time, dollars won't exist. Dollars will have been completely collapsed, right? So we're going to have a world where on the one hand, we have Vow, probably in the G20 nations, and a lot of the emerging markets, and we'll have the second world nations that will likely have a commodities-based type of currency, right? Because that's really what Russia is driving towards, is having gold backing and commodities behind their currency.
What I would like to lead the attention of the audience in a new way is, money is not making happy, but money makes things possible that weren't possible before. Because I can afford things, I can bring people together, I can use technique I wasn't able to afford before. So I would really encourage everyone to understand that if you have more money, your talents become important. because your talents are important in this world, and we need people to bring themselves in new businesses, new idea, new ways of changing this world. And this is from my side what I now more and more understand what Vow is really offering to us. It's not just a money change in money system. It's a big change in benefits for everyone, and we can step into that if we really do it.
Money is power. Money is capacity. When you have money, you have options, right? And so maybe when you look at the world, and I'm going to guess that every person on the planet does this, they look at the world and they see the problems, and their minds go into thoughts about how to solve those problems. We are all problem solvers. But most of the time, we can't solve the problems because we don't have the resources, right? It takes time to begin with. You know, yeah, I want to build a better mousetrap, but it takes time, and I have to go to work, and then I have to feed the kids, and I have to take them to the pool, and I have to spend time with the wife, and now there's a family holiday, and all this kind of stuff, and I never have the time, right? So when you have money, you can buy yourself some time. Also, it takes money to build stuff. You know, I want to build a better mousetrap. I need some springs, and I need some wood, or I need whatever things, right? I got to go buy those things. But I'm really tight on the money right now, right? Because the kids need new shoes, and the car just broke down, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm living month to month, right? People who live month to month, they have zero tolerance for zero leeway, right? They cannot afford to spend their time thinking about how they could make the world a better place, because they're just trying to survive. And this is, to a large extent, a function of the agenda of the elite, right? As long as they keep the populations only sufficiently, you know, at sort of survival stage, those populations can't turn around and make a political difference. They can't get out in the streets and lobby for things. They can't make a bigger difference because they have no money, right? So the way that politics are structured today, they're all based on money. If you have money, you can buy politicians. You buy lobbyists, and the lobbyists are actually the ones who write the rules. And so if you can write the rules, you write the rules to benefit yourself. Well, who can do that, right? And the answer is only people with money. So Vow changes that, because when I go and I spend, you know, so we talk about the little lady from Ohio who has to make a choice between food and medicines this month. When she goes and buys her medicines and the pharmacy discounts her product, she gets back a bunch of dollars that she can actually afford food with now, right? That is a relief of a lot of stress. So this is the other thing that Vow changes in the world, is it de-stresses the world, because people now don't have to lay awake at night thinking how they're going to survive. Things just got cheaper for them. And then as Vow progresses in its path, it creates this abundance. Now people have, you know, a little extra money to give to the grandchildren, right? Now they have a little bit of extra money so that they can take a day off, because they don't get paid unless they work that day, right? But they've got the extra money. They just want to take a day off, right? Then they start writing a novel. They start, you know, looking back at that chemistry book. They start doing whatever it is that they, you know, they start thinking about those dreams that they put away, right? And the world changes. It just, everything becomes different at that point.
Yes, and that will create a big change when we really are able, or when we just step into this next step. And I just want to make it clear to everyone that this is what's important for all of us, that we step out of our old shoes, where we are trapped in the old way of thinking, in the old school system, in the old medical stuff, in the old money system. We now have the chance to really change that. And I really want to encourage everyone to start now with this way of thinking. Even the Vow is not really started now, but we can change this world.
Yeah, I mean, if you run a business, then discount your products with Vow, right? Because it doesn't cost you anything to discount them, and you give the benefit to the customers, and that improves the world. If you don't have a business, go start one, because you can discount the customers and be to customers and be competitive with whomever is out there, right? Even if you're just selling stationery, right? There's markets out there that are very, very highly competitive where you can hardly make any money. You can make money with Vow because you can sell the same product for the same price, but give a discount, and everyone will come to you. So whatever it is that you do, whatever field it is that you work on or you want to work on, just think in terms of how you can have a competitive advantage by discounting.
So I think this is our vow to change the world. I asked all the audience to think about what is your vow to change the world. Thank you for being with us today.
Happy to.